And we are live. Good morning, world. Thanks for joining us on your TVs there in Texas and Louisiana on the Smart Money Culture TV network. Sir David Porter, thanks for joining us from Dublin. How are you?
Yes, thank you. I'm fantastic. Joining us here live. We're going to decode the financial situation, take a look at Assange. Jullian Assange has an update. Hopefully, they let this guy out sooner or later. He's done great things for the world. We're going to explore the stocks and the bonds. And of course, we're crypto guys. We're heavy in the crypto markets. And
we're heavy in the crypto markets, which are exploding. The crypto market is exploding right now. You want to own some crypto. And the truth is, we talk about it quite a bit. The U.S. dollar is part of the thing, right? So the title is Bitcoin, Ordinals, Atomicals, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. Pretty exciting. And gold up as the U.S. dollar slides. Jullian Assange free ? Yes. Dollar is sliding. Your dollar is sliding. Hey, Gabe, all we got is an L on there. If that's for, you need to get more Bitcoins, if that's for anything other than a typo. This stuff is exploding. $71,000 Bitcoin right now. Just as I looked, it's absolutely going. It's pretty interesting, the situation that we have, if you ask me, because 8 years ago, right before the halving, we had a pullback of 38% in this 60 days in between. Bitcoin crash is going to be insane, he says. Gabe, it could be true, but listen to this, what I'm just saying right now. So 8 years ago at the halving, we had a 38% pullback right before the halving, which is kind of in the 60-day period that we are right now. And then on the last halving, we had a 20% pullback. And then what did we just have now? We had about a 13% pullback, something like that, right? I don't know. That might be it. That might be the pullback. We may have this wedge of going tighter and tighter zone like that as more and more money gets in. And that would be quite interesting if that theory is correct. I know our main man, Matt Dixon, he uses different theories and stuff like that. In order to get to the Elliott wave theory is one of his favorites in order to get to these things. For me as well, I like doing that stuff, but I also like looking at trends. And so when I see a trend like that, that is repeating every halving, then I think that is something. And he agrees. He'll join us here in a minute. So that's going to be pretty interesting. Now, in another 12 months or so, after more than likely, and we're not financial advisors, okay? After more than likely Bitcoin passes $150,000, the crash after that, from that point, will be insane. Yes, I agree. It's going to be so insane that it's going to make everybody think that it's all over. It's dead.
It's going to zero.
I don't think people will think it's going to zero anymore, but they're going to think it's dead. Dead, But anyway, so that's just pretty interesting. I put up there, of course, Ordinals as well. Ordinals are absolutely going insane. NFT NYC, we are an official media partner at NFT NYC. I will be, David and I will both be in Europe, but our good friend Randy, Mr. Lead Pro himself, will be covering the event with Emilio, Mr. Blockchain House Portugal, for the team here. So we'll have live coverage of that. In past years, we have gone big at the NFT NYC and done our galas and a bunch of other stuff, but I will be on the other side of the pond as well as Sir David Porter. So, but we will have a lot of coverage of that, and then of course Paris Blockchain Week as well. But yeah, so a lot of stuff going on. Of course, yeah, and the Bitcoin's flying. I mean, it's up like 6-7% today. The Ordinals, though, what's happening right now is on-chain stuff. Okay, so back when, people don't really know it, and I'm gonna have a guest join us for the last 15 minutes, and he is an expert in Ordinals. He is an expert in Bitcoin. He's the co-founder of Ordifind, the doggy market, the Atomicals wallet on Bitcoin, and the Trixie markets on Tron. He is a CEO of Verathion Dex. Eric. So we're gonna have him on. He's gonna talk a bit more about what's going on here. We had a very interesting conversation yesterday, so I won't dive into it too much right now. But everybody's building stuff on Bitcoin now. I mean, it's kind of funny because Bitcoin was like, oh, this code that you couldn't do anything with that. I was with our friend, what was his name? Is his name George Santos? Over there in Portugal, your friend, and we're sitting there a year ago. And he's got all these projects incubating in his incubator there, and it's just me and him upstairs, and we're talking, and we're making some plays. We're buying we're being degens, buying this one that we think is going to pump and selling that one, and all this stuff. And he says, I said, what are you most excited about? And he goes, well, this Bitcoin ecosystem is taking off. I said, absolutely. This is crazy what's going on. You can do anything on the Bitcoin chain now. And he said, absolutely. He goes, I don't want to say it because I'm incubating all these projects that are building on everybody else. He said, but I'm most interested in Bitcoin right now because with this SegWit update, you are able to do anything on Bitcoin. You can make tokens, you can make proof of work tokens, you can do smart contracts, you can do all the stuff that they started making the other tokens for. And have that massive amount of liquidity. And also what's happening, and I won't get into it. We'll let him, he's going to come on. He's a very interesting guy, and we're going to have him on for the last 15 minutes. That's going to be absolutely great in the spotlight section there. Super excited about it. As well, we have, guys, a horrible thing just happened over here on the bridge. I've gone over this bridge a number of times. And this is just really horrible. The 695, the bridge on 695. It's called the Baltimore Key Bridge. Let me just share my screen. Did you see this yet, David?
No.
I mean, I don't even know if I've ever seen anything like this before. Let's see here.
Oh my gosh.
We're right next to the Key Bridge.
What the fuck?
Like all them people on the bridge.
That's crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, here we go. Watch that again. I mean, that's like I mean, the whole bridge collapsed.
Jeez.
So I'm sure we have some fatalities there. This just happened about 2 hours ago. Baltimore. Really horrible. Just really. This is another. So you can see kind of like, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on. Just horrible. The thing, it looked like it lost power.
Ooh.
But you can see, I mean, you can't really, there's cars on it, man. I've driven over that bridge plenty of times, man.
This is weird. You can't see much. It looks like it just collapsed.
It looks like it just collapsed. So, I mean, we don't know, of course, what it is at this point. Prayers out for all those who are affected. It's just absolutely horrible. This is, if you look, it looks like it loses power.
Or a boat crashes into it. That's a
boat.
No.
The boat loses power.
Oh, and then
You
crashes
see how it goes
into
dark there? The boat's dark.
So a boat crashed into the bridge.
Yes.
Ah. Wow.
And then it looked like it regained its power right about here.
I guess.
And then watch, it goes dark again. I think I was just putting this together as we. No, maybe not. Anyway, just horrible. Just horrible. Like I said, prayers out to everybody who is affected by that. How close is this bridge to Tacoma Park? Good morning. To Tacoma Park, I would say it is a little bit of ways. It's like so if you're going up like the GW Parkway or whatnot, I don't know exactly in my head. So there's the 895 tunnel, and then if you're going up like 295, 95, it's 895. I think that's the tunnel, and then there's the 695, and that takes you over to the side. It's not one of my most traveled bridges, but I certainly have taken it before. It's about 45 minutes from where I am here in the Northern Virginia area. Absolutely horrible. About 45 minutes from where I am. I'm about 8 miles from the White House. Old Town, Alexandria. Much better than Washington, D.C., to be honest. DC's crazy now. I used to live in D.C., but DC has been taken over by crazy people. Crazy people. Jullian Assange. We're going to find out today. I think. What do you think, David? The chances of him. Did I misspell his name in the title? I might have added an extra L there. Too bad. We can't do it all. Jullian, extradition judgment coming soon. Let me just share this as I'm going through this with you guys. This is of course the CIA tried to take him out years ago. They've wanted to assassinate him for quite a while. Trump, from what we understand, was trying to, or maybe going to free him, and then he Pompeo really just had a fit here. This is on the official WikiLeaks here. Let's see what he has to say.
Jullian Assange, the High Court in London is to deliver its ruling on whether or not Jullian Assange will be extradited to the United States to face those espionage charges. Mr. Assange's legal team have been fighting extradition. Of course, he remains in Belmarsh prison facing extradition to the United States over WikiLeaks and the release of classified US documents concerning the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. The High Court is to deliver its ruling on that appeal against the extradition tomorrow. So Mr. Assange will find out whether or not he is going to be extradited to the United States. Jullian Assange.
Yeah, they really shouldn't extradite him.
Of course, they shouldn't extradite him. It's like crazy. I mean, we're the U.S. is basically operating as a terrorist state.
Yeah.
We start and fund radical groups around the world. By all appearances, I had to stop saying our because it's not our.
It's like we.
Yeah, it's not we. It's not our. It's the apparatus here. It's the central banking cartel and their intelligence agencies apparatus, CIA and these types, are doing a lot of bad things. A lot of really bad things. Not to say that other people aren't bad, because other people are bad too. But we happen to be close to this one. And what is he? Why are they going after Jullian Assange? Because he told us the truth. It's the same thing with Edward Snowden. And I love putting out the post. Edward Snowden is a hero because it never fails. You get some NSA or CIA nut job that comes on and tries to say, oh, no, he's not. He's a traitor. Well, who is he a traitor to? He's not a traitor to me. He told me what we're doing. Those guys are the traitors, the ones he told on.
Yeah.
And you look at Jullian Assange, and what did Jullian Assange do? He told the world what the corrupt governments of the world were doing. Speaking of that, the UK just decided to put sanctions on China. The US has forces that are like 3 miles off the China coast, from what I understood from a report the other day. I mean, guys, we are We're not even slow walking into World War III. We're like diving in fast. But Jullian Assange told and he spread the truth. And actually, he was instrumental in getting President Trump elected with his whole email stuff from Hillary.
Yeah.
Without WikiLeaks and without Elon Musk, it's a very good chance that Donald Trump would not have won.
Right. Yeah.
And
everybody would have thought Hillary was squeaky clean.
Squeaky clean. But there was no getting, there was no, you couldn't wipe, like with a cloth, the hard drive off of her. I mean, she was so dirty. Even her own people really just couldn't stand her. It's craziness. Pure pandemonium. Let me just share this link while I'm thinking about it here. I'm going to pull on our good friend Matt Dixon. Let me just check our smart money. Are we off of commercials here? And we are just coming off of commercials here on Smart Money Culture TV. Sir Matt Dixon the Great, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me again. So
and fantastic. Good to see you. Great, amazing days on the markets, huh?
Absolutely amazing. And pretty much gone according to plan. I'll share my screen straight away because now you've got another guest waiting in the wings. So
hopefully it is late for him, so we'll see. I just sent him the link, but he's supposed to be. But yes, go ahead.
I'll go straight onto the charts. I'll go straight onto these charts. So I trust you can see my dollar index.
Yes, the dollar index. I was just looking at this actually before the show.
Yeah, so we'll look into this in a bit more detail. We'll go down to the 1 hour chart in a minute. This is the daily chart. And we can see again, every time we reach some kind of high or low, relatively long-term high or low, it's a major sort of event in the market, a major price point in the market for a turning point in Bitcoin price. So we can see all these major turning points. I won't go into it all again because we've done it before. But what I am saying is that this current price move is probably moving towards the bottom part of this channel. You can see here I've got this blue channel, which is a kind of parallel channel. I think price of the DXY dollar index is possibly moving down, and that would coincide or correspond with what the Fed is saying about interest rates dropping 3 times this year. So, they are loosening monetary policy and they're obviously trying to stimulate the economy. They're looking to get everything running at top speed, ready for the election, to have everything looking great. So they'll do whatever they need to do. And that may mean dropping rates. It may mean printing more money. They are dialing back on what they call QT now, which is quantitative tightening. They're dialing back. So when you're dialing back quantitative tightening, it actually means you're loosening monetary policy. So all this is what's causing the dollar to weaken at the moment. And I'll just jump straight to the 1 hour, and we'll have to just expand this out a bit so you can actually see it. We actually saw this trend line I showed you yesterday. I'll just, so this long-term trend line, we can't see all the other touch points, but basically we touched on it the other day. And you can just see how important that trend line is now, looking on the 1 hour. And I'll just expand this out even more so you can see. This was a trend line we drew on from previous touch points, and it just so happened that the price of the DXY just touched this line here and was rejected and then moved down. Then we spiked higher again to touch it and again rejected and moved down. So it just shows how important these technical lines of support and resistance are. So we can see that this is a very, very important level of resistance for the dollar index. So it tried higher and failed, and it's going lower, and we can see it is going lower. Now, you normally see inverse correlation here between dollar index, or the value of the dollar, and crypto assets, and that's precisely what we're seeing. So as the dollar is falling, we're seeing crypto assets rapidly appreciating in price. And so we'll jump probably straight to, well, I won't jump straight to the cryptos. I'm just going to touch on gold because gold is having a real rally today.
It sure is. Again.
Yeah. So we had that bit of a corrective move down. It hasn't dipped below the start of this impulse here, and it's moving sharply, impulsively higher again now. So this is telling us that inflation is a worry. So exactly what I was just telling you about dollar index, about loosening monetary policy, that actually means that it's going to possibly stoke inflation again. And we're already seeing inflation way above target rate. And so if we're going to stoke inflation more, gold is that traditional hedge against inflation. And that's why we're seeing, with this easing of monetary policy, they're dialing back the QT, quantitative tightening, which is the opposite of QE, quantitative easing. So if they're dialing back QT, it effectively means they're loosening monetary policy. They're, as Bruce is always saying, they are printing more money effectively. And that's going into the economy. It's causing inflation, which is one of the reasons why gold is pumping and why a lot of the risk assets are pumping. So you can see those strong green candles moving impulsively to the upside. Who knows where that will stop? So gold is, long-term gold is a great asset to be in to hedge against the coming inflation that I think is just around the corner. It's already here, in fact, because we're already way above the 2% target rate. And yet the Fed are talking about reducing interest rates, which is the opposite of what you should be doing if inflation is way above target rate. So they are trying to walk a tightrope, saying one thing, doing another, smoke and mirrors. It's probably not going to end very well. So we'll look at Bitcoin. It's the truth, I'm afraid, that I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here's Bitcoin again, moving very, very nicely. We had, I'll just scroll out a little bit, probably move back to the 4 hour to give us a bit more perspective on where things are with Bitcoin. Those Bitcoin ordinals you were talking about, yeah, it's a great innovation, I would say, but it has caused some issues. So it has caused issues with congestion on the Bitcoin network and the gas fees on Bitcoin going up. So I think there are probably better ways, and this Bitcoin ordinals is just an interesting innovation. I'm not sure whether it has quite the transformative effect that some people are saying at the moment. So Bitcoin, we had the all-time high here just a very short while ago, when I say short while, a few days ago, 73,000 and odd. We have had an ABC correction down. I'm not sure whether you're getting feedback there. Can you get any feedback?
I fixed it. Sorry about that.
That's okay. So we've got a very clear ABC correction to the downside, almost where the C wave was almost 100% of the A wave, which is the most common relationship within Elliott wave. And then we appear to be moving to the upside now with Bitcoin. And with all of those background fundamentals we just talked about, with monetary easing, with the dollar weakening, I don't have much doubt that Bitcoin is going to push to new all-time highs again. And other cryptos are moving off the back of that. So we can see Ethereum dipped down to almost 3,000 the other day. It got down to 3,061, and then it's moved quite nicely to the upside again. So I do think that Ethereum is going to get some positive moves. And although Gary Gensler of the SEC is trying to label Ethereum as a security, which would have massive implications across the board, because as you know, most tokens, many tokens are based on the Ethereum, the ERC20 protocol, and other ERC protocols as well. So many tokens are based on that on Ethereum effectively. So the talk on the street is that that's not going to happen. Gary isn't going to get his way. He's not going to be able to label Ethereum as a security. And Ethereum should, although it's been potentially delayed, the Ethereum ETF being approved, it's still very much in the pipeline. And so I do think Ethereum will also continue to rocket higher. But the one obviously really in the news of late is Solana. So we compared this morning, I compared on my X account, looking at the returns on some of the cryptos. I'll just flip very quickly into that just to show you some of the returns that you could have had by investing $1,000. You can probably see there, $1,000 into these various assets 5 years ago. If you'd done it into Bitcoin, that $1,000 would today be worth $10,519. If you've done the same with Ethereum, $1,000, it'd now be worth 7,900. So still 7x. Uniswap would be more than 2x, 2,100. BNB will be one of the best here. $1,000 invested into BNB 5 years ago would now be $41,000. That's 40x. But what I also posted was, if you'd invested in Solana, and you couldn't do it 5 years ago because it hadn't actually started, the chain hadn't started. But if you had invested in Solana at the beginning, you would now have, from $1,000 invested, you would now have $195,000, which is absolutely phenomenal. 195x your investment there. So that's where Solana would be. And we focused on Solana yesterday, just showing it still has lots of upward potential. It's done exactly what we said on previous shows with this triangle formation, the break from the triangle. So triangle, as we said yesterday, is a pre-terminal wave. Then you have a terminal thrust to the upside, which should take us way above the top of this previous point here. Should probably take us to the all-time high. And that still probably won't be the end of the Solana move. But I think that it is, the next move should take us to challenge the previous all-time high. So we're at $195 right now, which has moved up a lot from just before the weekend. I think it dipped to about $170, $171. So I've already seen big movement there. What's that? About 12% or something in just a couple of days. So yeah, amazing potential there with Solana. And I'm speaking to more and more people. Solana is the retail chain of choice, you know, for NFTs, for meme coins. It's going to be for AI tokens. It's going to be amazing. And Solana, there's so many improvements coming through, as our friend Eric said the other day. Improvements to even more transactions per second, to even more scalability, with it being much easier for validators to get involved. So many positive things coming through there. Litecoin, again, some amazing action, price action on Litecoin, which potentially has quite a bit higher to go before any potential turn. Things are looking quite good. I think we had a corrective move down here in a B wave, so I think we are going to move higher. So I think the whole market is looking reasonably healthy at the moment. XRP has had a bit of a breakout. So XRP was just stuck, lounging around, as it so often does, but it's had a reasonably good little move up in the last few days. So it was down at 56 cents. It's now down up at 64. It did touch 65 cents this morning. Still choppy movement, but still it's likely to push to new highs above this local high that we had here before we see any potential turnaround there. So obviously there have been some big moves today as well. So Anchor protocol, 23% today. We see ICP, one of our favorites again that we're always talking about, 9.47% today, which is a great one. We'll just have a quick look in at ICP. You can see massive impulsive movement there to the upside. Really positive. Love to see
this is one of my favorites here, ICP. You know, first of all, I've made a bunch of money on this one. But the ecosystem is just the way they are operating is impressive. They know how to grow a community and a currency.
Yeah, they're one of the most loyal communities I've seen. Because, again, the science behind it is so amazing. They do have a massive community, and that's really important for these cryptos. And the technology behind it just looks so exciting. And you talked about Bitcoin and Bitcoin Ordinals. Well, they're also doing a lot with Bitcoin and Ethereum and other chains that are being helped by what ICP are doing. So we can see here, this is what's called impulsive movement, when there's no overlapping, just straight green candles, one after another. We've got I think a whole week's worth, 7 green candles in a row. And when we talk about, candlestick formations and patterns, this is a very positive candle formation. And following the previous one here, we had a strong movement to the upside. You then get correction, usually a bit of a corrective, what they call a kind of bull flag correction to this slightly downward sideways, as we had here as well. These are just corrective moves when you see the correction downwards, but ready for another upward move. So the whole market, we are currently, we do appear to be in the early phases of a bull market. And if this is, obviously this is the election year, they are going to do what they can for the markets to continue to perform well, because it looks for the incumbent, it looks really good if they're managing the economy well.
Mhm.
Even eBay is been doing quite well. Not the biggest
Even
rise.
eBay, he says, out of his back pocket.
Yeah. So I mean, not the biggest riser today, but still 2% today. It's quite nice.
Looking very good. Look at those green candles.
Yeah, it's looking. It's had some tremendous moves. So it's up about 6x from its low last September, something like that. So if you could do 6 times your money in 6 months, yeah, that's about it. 6 times in 6 months. So 600%.
6x in 6 months.
Yeah.
And from where this thing was, we still have a very nice runway.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
58%.
Plenty of runway there, because all the news. In fact, next week we will definitely look to come out with we're coming out with the upgrades on this Friday, so a couple of days time now, 2 or 3 days time. Then next week, let's do a run through and just talk about the potential we have, because I know the future is bright, and we are actually going to be looking at migrating to the Solana chain, and that could be really good because gas fees are low. The community is really vibrant. We'll be one of the first AI tokens on Solana, and we're going to get some big influencers behind us. So the future is really bright for eBay. And when I say the future is bright, I mentioned that on Solana. I mean, I just love always coming back to Solana, but this is one that's been so predictable, and we have been talking about it from day one. So nobody can say we're jumping off the back or on the back of something which has proven to be successful. Right from the very first show, when the price was very much lower than it is, we were talking about the potential for Solana, how it tends to move up more than other tokens and down less than other tokens. And the adoption rate and again, as Eric was telling us, it's now overtaking Ethereum now as the chain of choice. So,
I mean, why in the world would you want to, if you're launching a token right now, why in the world would you want to launch on Ethereum and not, if you're looking at, okay, do I launch on BNB? Do I launch on Solana? Or do I launch on Ethereum? BNB, I mean, there's a lot. I think it's probably going to go well past 1,000. It is a great ecosystem. All these things. It's great. It's great. Ethereum, yeah, I don't know. The gas fees are so high. To trade it is so high. Normal people don't have Ethereum anymore. And then you have Solana. The fees are low. The community is like growing. They're doing all types of events. I mean, it's kind of like a no-brainer a little bit. Like Solana is where, if you're going to launch a token, or if you're looking at those 2 or 3 right there, it's like, unless you want to go with Bitcoin, and that's a whole nother story. And Eric did respond back. He's going to join us in a few minutes. And we're going to learn more about that because that's pretty interesting too. But Solana is crazy.
I mean, not a prediction. Not a prediction, I don't know, but it would not surprise me if Solana didn't flip Ethereum in price, even though it wouldn't surprise me if that doesn't happen within the next 3 years. And who knows, in crypto, 3 years can be 1 year. You just don't know, because things can happen in crypto so much faster than in anything else.
Those memes are always the funniest, right? It's like,
I love memes. Yeah, there are some which, again, we always say that Doge started as a meme, but it's become something really serious now. Doge is at 5% today, and it just doesn't stop. Look at it.
Look at that. And now Floki too. I must be on their distribution somehow. They emailed me, and they are getting their banking license.
Yeah. So some of these memes, when they actually then they raise a lot of money, they do something good with it, and actually build a solid ecosystem and build products and so on. Then they've got so much money behind them, and they've got amazing potential. So we saw here Doge that we actually mentioned it the other day. It actually had a really nice ABC movement down. That is corrective in 3 waves corrective. So now we're moving up in what's called impulsive fashion, like in the direction of these big green candles here, which is the impulse, the choppy pull back, the correction, and then we're moving back into the impulsive phase yet again, which should take us back above the previous. It was almost 21 cents. Should take us back above that level. So Doge is looking really, really bright. And again, you can just see the the view there of what an impulsive, what impulsive candles are like, where they don't overlap, where you can see the corrective ones with all this overlap. And it's quite easy to see this. And again, we can look at fear and greed again. And, we are getting high again on fear and greed, but it can keep flipping in and out of these extreme levels. But at some point, there will be a turnaround. So we've got to watch these. I know it's a very bullish day today, but we do need to always be aware that things can turn around. I think short term, we're heading to new all-time highs. Just look at this Bitcoin yet again. Those green candles, they're very, very bullish, impulsive, following that corrective downward move, very choppy downward move. Now we're moving impulsively, all green candles. So I don't doubt we're going to see a new all-time high on Bitcoin. So very, very exciting day.
Like could be today. Could be. It looks like for sure this week. I mean, you never know. Stuff can happen. But.
So I missed the early part of the show. Is there any further updates on what's happening around the world geopolitically?
Well, the UN, of course, we didn't even talk about it. The UN passed the resolution wanting ceasefire. The U.S. abstained from that vote. I don't really think that means anything. Biden is there's kind of like there's a little bit of posturing. The U.S. is saying that this needs to stop, or this and that and the other. Wink, wink. And then we just sent them another 3.3 billion or something like that.
But I can understand the U.S. abstaining from these UN security votes because there's a strong history of multiple votes against Israel. America usually abstain, which it just shows there is some kind of bias here because there aren't, they don't have UN resolutions in the same way against the likes of Iran or against, a lot of these, in Yemen, the terror.
Well, I mean, I think that one thing is sure. I mean, the UN, there wouldn't be an Israel really without the UN. So I think that obviously they have that connection there. You could say they wouldn't be one without the U.S., I suppose, as well. But the UN was the structure that was used in order to put Israel there in 1948, even though, as we know, that there was a lot of history there. So I think that's part of it. I think they kind of feel like that's their baby. And we've had multiple times, of course, they say, even Biden, that Israel is our aircraft carrier in the Middle East, our military base is what they say, at the U.S. military base. If we didn't have that, then we would have to make something else up. So there's a lot there. In Washington, it's a very, very cozy relationship. AIPAC has a lot of pull around here. So I feel like when they do things that they don't like, they feel like they can apply pressure.
Yeah, so that was amazing, wasn't it? Back in 1948, wasn't it, the UN resolution? To resolution 181, I checked on that. So they had the Balfour Declaration, didn't they? Which I think was that back in 1917 or was that 1940?
It was 1912 or 1917, yeah, something like that.
1917, yeah, the Balfour Declaration, which was in favor of the Jews coming back to homeland. And then it's the Second World War that really accelerated it. So it's amazing how these things work. So as I say, I just think that there appears to be an awful lot of bias against Israel within the United Nations, but I think that's probably a reflection of who make up the United Nations, the countries that make up the UN.
Yes.
Anyway,
I hear you.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, awesome. We have here our friend. Let me just make sure we are on Smart Money Culture. We're still on commercials here, so I'm going to bring you on in just a second, Eric. Eric is BRC20 Coins on X. Make sure to follow him. He is an OG. But another great show. I think we have. We're going to do. I feel like, this thing is just going to the moon. Huh? We have NFT NYC. That's going to just keep propelling things. We have Paris Blockchain Week. Barring some major event, which can happen, I feel like we're going to the moon, Matt.
I think so. I think this is looking to be a good year. As long as there's no interruptions, I think this is going to be the year. And we're just beginning. The floodgates, as I always said, the floodgates were just opening with the ETF approval, Bitcoin ETF approval. Believe it or not, there's still actually loads and loads of investment funds that can invest or will invest in Bitcoin, but they actually have processes that take some time to get the approvals within the funds. It doesn't just happen overnight. It may just be that there's a board meeting or something where you have to get approval. So these things can take weeks, can take months before you get approval, but the floodgates are now open. The approvals will come, and more and more money will likely flow into Bitcoin. So I looked into it, and as I say, there's a lot of corporations, institutions, funds, fund managers will be piling more and more money. And if, some people, I read some reports this morning saying that if they were to hold 5% of their funds in Bitcoin, it takes Bitcoin price to something like $3 million, I think I read. So
crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. I know. Well, that's and that's one of the things we're gonna pull him on. We can actually pull him on, and then we'll just do a lead in here. Although he does look frozen at the moment. Let me give him a minute here to find a better spot. Oh, let's see here. Eric, how are you, man? You're on mute.
How you doing? Good morning, guys. How are you?
I'm doing great. We're gonna talk for a minute, and then we'll lead you in right after the commercials here. Thanks for joining us, man. I know it's late for you over there. So you're freezing on us.
We are live.
We are live. Thanks for joining us on the Smart Money Culture Network. We have with us here. Oh, wait, no, we're not live. I thought you were giving me the lead in there, David.
We should be live.
We're not live. Did you look? Not yet. Sometimes they do the commercials a little funny. Eric, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Yes. All right, perfect. Commercials for whatever reason are running a little long this morning, but that's live TV, so we're just giving it a minute here. So just kind of a little bit lead in. This is my brother David, of course. This is Matt Dixon. Matt Dixon is in Dubai. David is in Dublin. David is basically an expat these days, and he is staying over there on
holiday. Permanent holiday.
There you go.
He's on permanent holiday.
good to meet you. Looking forward to the show today.
Good to meet you as well. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you having me on.
Well, it's pretty exciting, and they my colleague was just showing me the board as well. They have the big billboards this time. Were you at NFT NYC over the last couple of years?
No, I haven't. So first time going to NFT NYC in the coming week here.
Okay, pretty cool. Yeah, we have historically done some major events there. Obviously, we're going to be in Paris, as I told you this time. Okay, we are back on Smart Money Culture TV. Thanks for joining us on your TVs there in Texas and Louisiana. I have with us here Eric. Eric is one of the big guys in the space. He's been in maybe even as long as I have. I'm not sure. We were going back on stories yesterday, back and forth. So, Eric, this Bitcoin Ordinals, this BRC20 Atomicals, this is like a bonanza that is happening right now in the space. Tell us a little bit about yourself and touch on that as well.
Yeah. Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me. It's Bitcoin's fun again. I've been in the space since late 16. Really started getting engulfed with crypto then, right? It was kind of like this rabbit hole I never got out of, and I probably never escaped. So more of a trader nonetheless, but once Ordinals and BRC20s came to fruition, that really opened the doors for everything in my eyes, peeling back these onion layers of what Bitcoin's truly capable of. So that obviously led to Ordinals, BRC20 coins, right? First shit coins on Bitcoin. And then now we've got, tons of made up protocols, Atomicals, which is pretty massive, powerful protocol, still very new, You know, that's what she stands for. Back to those sheets. Just so much happening, and it's just super bullish for me, right? There's so much going on. I don't even know where to start, really. But you know,
so tell us a little bit. Tell us a little bit about. You know, I know that atomicals. I mean, that's how, of course. So what I did was I was cruising around the new coins launch, which is something that I normally do. Of course, we're in the business, and I kept seeing these atomicals, and there was these multiple different currencies with atomicals in parentheses, and I'm like, what is this atomicals? And I start searching around, and of course, my search leads me to Eric. Eric says, "How did you find me?" I said, "Oh, I think." And I told him, he said, oh, okay, that makes sense. So tell us a little bit about atomicals.
You got it. So, you know, my co-founder and I, obviously, we've done doing our research in the space. Once Ordinals thing came out, we obviously came across the atomicals protocol. So, very powerful protocol, really brings out proof of work and what Bitcoin is truly about. So, Arthur, the creator of that protocol, we just started communicating with multiple times a day, and you know, wanted to bring that protocol to life. So we created Atomicals Market, and so Atomicals is more than just like a trading coin, you know, protocol, right? It's an entire ecosystem that's involved with this, and it's still being built. There's still, you know, as with Bitcoin, right? We can go another years and keep pulling back these layers. So with Atomicals, you know, you have your coins that proof of work. So you're literally mining these tokens. You can't bot this in other ways in other chains. So you're using your CLI, which most people, you know, aren't familiar with, that the command line interface, right? So it's probably why it hasn't caught on super quickly yet. But you know, we've built tools for people to make this, you know, ease of use a lot easier for the normal person. So you can do this through your browser. But basically, you're mining tokens, proof of work, on top of proof of work, which is called Bitwork, and it's color back in these coins. So essentially, it's all Bitcoin, right? You've got projects now in Atomicals that are launching. It's called DMint, Decentralized Mint application, where you can accept these tokens as part of payments now. And, you know, as we all know, being in this ecosystem for a while, you can expand on that and not just use that for art, right? Businesses can use this, you know, corporations, private clubs, right, for memberships. Creating their own token. So entire ecosystem there. Then you have Realms, which is another part of this, which is really what Arthur, you know, why Arthur started to create this protocol to begin with. And Realms is that ENS, DNS that really kind of never took off in those other chains that, you know, once this is fully live, there's quite a few teams working on this, you know, you'll be running off Bitcoin. You know, you'll be no need to pay like your AWS or these other servers. So when people finally realize that you can run everything off of Bitcoin itself and not have to pay these other parties, that's going to change everything, right? So you as an artist would create your realm. You know, you'd have your UI interface, and users would just connect to that, and it's, you know, it'll be a .com or however you link that, but it's literally powered right by Bitcoin. You know, you're not paying AWS or BigCommerce or any of those other platforms, which makes this really interesting. You know, true internet on Bitcoin, right? Which is powerful and scary, I guess, to some at the same time. But for me, it's absolutely amazing. It gives power back to the people. So we've got a atomical virtual machine they're working on. That's going to bring all SHA-256 proof of work applications onto Bitcoin. So people joke around bringing Monero onto Bitcoin. Well, when that comes to fruition, people are going to finally realize how that came to fruition, you know, with Doge and all these other ones coming right onto Bitcoin. So
I know
you know,
you mentioned that. You mentioned that yesterday, so I wanted to take that out of the box a little bit. Obviously, Monero is not using SHA-256 at this point. Neither is Doge, I think, right?
They're proof of work. I say SHA-256. Yep. It'll bring them both in. So proof of works will be really what is working with this AVM. So all these proof of work chains are all going to tie into Bitcoin here, which the end goal is to obviously remove the layer 2s, because everything can be done on layer 1 and true Bitcoin on chain. So I don't know much more on AVM. I know that's what that team is working on. I don't have an ETA on that. They've been speaking on that for a while. Arthur's put out some documents on it, but I don't want to go any further into that. It's just obviously in the pipeline here. It's something that's being created. So I don't want to misquote anything with that, but I do know that that's another powerful feature of this ecosystem of atomicals.
Amazing. So now I know you've done quite a few things. There's other ones that are going on as well. Of course, people are talking about runes, and are there other applications or other what else is exciting? I would say that is going on with this new, I guess, and this all opened up with Taproot. But what are some of the other exciting things that you see going on?
Well, runes is definitely exciting, right? Because Casey Rodarmer, who created the Ordinals protocol, is the one that's created runes, right? It's been talked about for months here. So, and for those that don't know, runes is a different protocol, just like atomicals and your BRC20 tokens. And with BRC20 tokens, the first ones that were deployed by Domo, those are JSON text file, right? So you inscribe those. They're inscription based, and they're not UTXO based. Runes and atomicals are UTXO based. Makes it a lot easier to trade those tokens. If you're not familiar with BRC20 tokens, you mint those. When you go to try to sell those, you've got to transfer inscribe the mint amount that you want to mint. And so if you own 1 million tokens, you want to trade 10,000, you've got to transfer inscribe 10,000, make that an inscription, wait 3 confirmation blocks on Bitcoin, which we all know that takes a little while. And then you can go ahead and list those tokens to trade. So it's a little bit of a process, but those have been out a year now, and Domo and the team working on that protocol are actually working on programmable fractional Bitcoin, and this is going to take it there. They're saying now is phase 1. So I'm kind of curious and excited to see what this does. There's gaming platforms on Bitcoin. One's called MeWorld that's running off fractional Bitcoin. That's in beta mode. So you've got gaming and things coming into Bitcoin. Obviously, all of these layer 2s, which in my eyes will bring a lot of liquidity and people over to layer 1 Bitcoin, because a lot of people came into crypto and never even used Bitcoin or touched it because there was nothing you could do with it, right? So they all went on these other chains, and now there's opportunities here to stake things on layer 2, whether it's NFTs or coins, to earn assets on layer 1. So it's going to bring that exposure to Bitcoin, right? Runes is definitely exciting. Excited to see what that does, and I think it's definitely something that will bring more eyes to atomicals when people can see that it's a true ecosystem built on Bitcoin, and obviously we'll see more. I think this is the year of the protocol, so I'm pretty excited to see what builders bring to the surface.
The year of the protocol. So you're the co-founder of the Ordified Dog. I always call it the dog. I know it's the Doji market in the wallet. The Atomicals market on Bitcoin, TRXI markets on Bitcoin. The dog.
Well, that one's on. So Trixie is on Tron. So I don't want to confuse your listeners there. You said Bitcoin. That was just something. Obviously, we were, when the meta was hitting all these other chains with inscriptions. We started to notice someone deploying on Tron, which, we don't need to beat around the bush. That's the second most active chain. It's got all the tether on it, right? So we got curious. We created the marketplace to create tools for those users. So been talking with Justin Sun. Not going to really go further into that one and maybe see where that goes. But
cool.
Yeah, we like to build, and there's opportunities to give tools to people. But Ordifine was our first one, Google extension wallet there. We're working on a mobile wallet and different applications for that. The Ordinals platform, because as you know, that's growing pretty massive as well. So it really brought us into that proof of work and learning how to build on that, and that's what led us into growing into the Bitcoin side of the time. Well, I also co-host a space in the morning too, guys. So.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell us about that.
Good Day Bitcoin, hosted every morning, and it's Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern. We run for about an hour and a half. You guys ever want to come shoot the shit on Bitcoin, Ordinal space, deep dive into your new projects? We run that as well. So just fun stuff. Love being involved in the ecosystem. And as I told you yesterday, Bruce, I'm in the trenches, and I'll stay in the trenches. And it's kind of where the alpha is, but it's where you learn what's really coming out, what's really new, what's coming to life on these chains.
Well, I can tell you guys, he is in the trenches. Of course, we hit it off on the call yesterday, but he's on his staycation honeymoon, or not honeymoon, but anniversary. with his wife out there, and I know it's late. And he says, "All right, Bruce," because I said tomorrow's really the day. We have everything lined up. Obviously, I'm leaving for Paris as well. He says, "Yeah, no problem, Bruce. I'll make it happen." So, really appreciate you coming on, man. I want to have you on again. I'd love to as well jump on. I'm going to listen into your space at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm assuming everybody can find that on BRC20 Coins. Make sure you follow Eric on BRC20 Coins. Thank you for coming on, brother.
Hey, I appreciate you guys for having me, man. It's always great talking like-minded individuals. So I look forward to speaking with you guys some more.
You got it.
Have a great day.
Good deal.
All right, folks, we are signing off. We'll see you in 5 hours.
All right. Stay tuned and you'll stay lucrative.
Your voice is powerful. When combined with social engagement, it's a force for change. Decentralized media paired with free speech is the catalyst for an empowered world and a unified, invaluable ecosystem. Join Global Boost. Become a champion.